Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. This is a space for those who love spine-chilling stories, eerie locations, and the thrill of the unknown. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal enthusiast or just someone curious about what lies beyond the veil, I've got something special in store for you today. We're diving deep into the heart of one of the most terrifying places in Phoenix, a location that has become infamous for its dark history, unexplained phenomena, and chilling encounters with the other side. If you enjoyed our first episode on this haunted park, then you're in for an even scarier ride this time around. In episode 2, we'll be uncovering more of the park's hidden secrets, exploring reports of ghostly figures wandering through the trees, hearing voices calling out from the darkness, and discovering why so many people claim they can feel an overwhelming sense of dread the moment they step foot inside. Some say the park is cursed, while others believe it sits atop an ancient burial ground where restless spirits refuse to rest. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: this place is not for the faint of heart. So, if you're ready to face the unknown, grab your flashlight, settle in, and let's begin our journey into the depths of Phoenix's most haunted park. The origins of fear, a dark history beneath the trees. The origins of Phoenix's most haunted park stretch back decades, rooted in a history as unsettling as the eerie occurrences reported there today. Originally established in the early 1900s, the land was once part of a sprawling ranch owned by a wealthy businessman named Thomas Whitmore. Though the area initially served as grazing grounds for cattle, local legends suggest that Whitmore's property harbored secrets far darker than mere livestock. According to old newspaper clippings and whispered tales passed down through generations, Whitmore was a reclusive man known for his eccentric behavior and rumored occult practices. Some claimed he conducted strange rituals beneath the full moon, while others believed he had dealings with forces beyond human comprehension. By the mid-20th century, the ranch had been abandoned, left to decay under the relentless Arizona sun. The land remained untouched for years until city officials decided to convert it into a public park in the 1960s. Workers clearing the area reportedly unearthed disturbing artifacts: bones buried in shallow graves, rusted ceremonial daggers, and symbols etched into the earth that no one could identify. Despite these unsettling discoveries, construction continued, and the park officially opened to the public in 1967. However, from the very beginning, visitors reported strange experiences that defied explanation. One of the earliest documented incidents occurred just weeks after the park's opening, when a group of teenagers claimed they encountered a shadowy figure watching them from the tree line. Descriptions varied. One said it was a tall, cloaked entity. Another swore it looked like a skeletal man with hollow eyes. But all agreed on one thing: the presence exuded an overwhelming sense of malice. Over the following years, similar sightings became more frequent, with hikers reporting fleeting glimpses of figures standing motionless between the trees, only to vanish when approached. Others described hearing whispers carried by the wind, though no one else was present. As the years passed, the park gained a reputation for being more than just a scenic retreat. It became a hot spot for paranormal activity. By the 1980s, reports of missing persons and inexplicable disappearances began surfacing. Locals spoke of individuals who entered the park alone and were never seen again, their names fading into obscurity without a trace. One particularly chilling case involved a young woman named Jessica Ramirez, who vanished during a late-night jog in 1984. Despite extensive searches, no evidence of her fate was ever found, fueling speculation that something sinister lurked within the park's boundaries. Today, the park remains a source of fascination for paranormal investigators, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. Whether the hauntings stem from the land's mysterious past or something far more inexplicable, one thing is certain: those who dare to enter often leave with more questions than answers. Echoes of the past, unraveling the legends that haunt the park. Over the decades, countless stories have emerged from Phoenix's most haunted park, each adding another layer to its already chilling reputation. Among the most persistent legends is the tale of the Watcher, a spectral figure said to linger at the edge of the woods, observing those who pass through the park. Descriptions of the Watcher vary, but common elements persist: a tall, shadowy form draped in tattered clothing, glowing red eyes that pierce through the darkness, and an unsettling silence that follows wherever it appears. Witnesses claim that the watcher never moves, never speaks, yet somehow conveys an overwhelming sense of dread to those who see it. Some believe it is the spirit of Thomas Whitmore himself, forever bound to the land he once ruled with secrecy and fear. Others argue that it is something far older, a guardian of the park's mysteries that does not take kindly to intruders. Another widely circulated legend involves the whispers in the wind, a phenomenon reported by numerous visitors over the years. Those who venture into the deeper parts of the park, particularly near the old oak grove, often describe hearing faint voices carried by the breeze, whispers that seem to call out their names or speak in languages no one recognizes. Some claim these voices belong to lost souls trapped within the park, unable to move on due to unfinished business or violent deaths. Others speculate that the sounds are residual echoes of past events, imprinted onto the land like a recording that plays on an endless loop. Paranormal investigators who have explored the area with sensitive audio equipment have captured recordings of these whispers, some of which contain intelligible words pleading for help or warning of unseen dangers. Perhaps the most harrowing story tied to the park is that of the vanishing children. Local folklore tells of groups of children who have entered the park together, only to emerge alone, claiming their friends disappeared before their eyes. While skeptics dismiss these accounts as exaggerated tales or simple cases of children playing hide-and-seek too well, the frequency with which these stories resurface suggests otherwise. Some versions of the legend speak of a ghostly child who lures unsuspecting victims into the woods, leading them astray until they are never seen again. Others suggest that the park itself shifts, altering paths and distorting reality, trapping those who wander too far within its grasp. Regardless of the true nature of these disappearances, the legend persists, casting an ominous shadow over the park's reputation. These stories, whether based in fact or born from the fertile imagination of frightened witnesses, contribute to the park's aura of mystery and terror. Whether the watcher truly stands at the tree line, whether the whispers carry messages from the dead, or whether children really vanish without a trace, one thing remains undeniable: the park holds secrets that defy explanation, drawing in those who seek the truth and leaving them with more questions than answers, into the heart of darkness. First-hand encounters with the unknown for those who have dared to explore Phoenix's most haunted park after sunset. The experience is nothing short of terrifying. Many who visit during daylight hours report little more than an eerie atmosphere and occasional chills, but when night falls, the park transforms into something entirely different. It is then that the shadows deepen, the air thickens, and the boundary between the living and the dead seems to blur. Numerous first-hand accounts from visitors, paranormal investigators, and even law enforcement personnel describe unsettling encounters that defy rational explanation. One of the most frequently cited experiences among those who have ventured into the park after dark is the sensation of being watched. Visitors recount feeling an intense pressure behind their eyes, as if unseen eyes are tracking their every movement from the tree line. Some claim that the feeling is accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, despite the warm desert climate, making them shiver involuntarily. Others describe hearing faint footsteps trailing them, only to turn around and find no one there. These sensations often escalate the deeper one goes into the park, culminating in full-blown encounters with entities that cannot be easily dismissed as tricks of the mind. Paranormal investigator Daniel Reyes, who led an overnight expedition into the park in 2019, described his team's experience in vivid detail. As they set up their equipment near the old oak grove, they recorded a series of unexplained phenomena. First, then came the whispering voices, caught on digital voice recorders, speaking in fragmented sentences that seemed to respond directly to their questions. When Reyes asked, "Who's here?" the recorder played back a distorted voice replying, "Waiting, always waiting." Later, thermal imaging cameras captured a humanoid-shaped anomaly moving through the trees, vanishing whenever the team attempted to approach. Another chilling account comes from a group of hikers who visited the park in 2021. Around midnight, they claimed to witness a figure standing motionless at the edge of the trail. At first, they assumed it was another late-night visitor, but as they approached, the figure suddenly turned toward them, revealing a face devoid of features, just a smooth, blank surface where eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. Before they could react, the entity melted into the darkness, leaving the group shaken and unsure of what they had just seen. Law enforcement records also hint at unexplained disturbances in the park. Officers responding to reports of suspicious activity have described feeling an overwhelming sense of unease upon entering certain areas, with some refusing to return after a single night patrol. One officer, who wished to remain anonymous, recounted how his radio static grew louder the farther he walked into the park, eventually turning into what sounded like muffled screams. When he tried to call for backup, his radio cut out entirely, forcing him to retreat in frustration and fear. Whether these encounters stem from psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or something truly supernatural remains a subject of debate. What is undeniable, however, is that those who have experienced the park after dark rarely walk away unchanged. Something lingers in the shadows, watching, waiting, and for those who dare to explore further, the next encounter may be closer than they think. Beyond the veil, theories behind the park's paranormal activity. The eerie occurrences reported at Phoenix's most haunted park have sparked numerous theories attempting to explain the seemingly inexplicable. While skeptics attribute these experiences to psychological factors such as mass hysteria, confirmation bias, or heightened adrenaline in unfamiliar environments, believers argue that something far more profound is at play. Among paranormal researchers and historians, several prevailing theories attempt to unravel the mystery behind the park's unsettling energy and recurring ghostly sightings. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the park sits on a site of historical trauma. Before its transformation into a public recreational area, the land was home to various indigenous communities, some of whom used the region for spiritual ceremonies. Archaeological surveys conducted in the surrounding area have uncovered ancient burial sites, suggesting that the park may have once served as a sacred ground for Native American tribes. Some researchers believe that the disturbances reported in the park are the result of disturbed ancestral remains, with the spirits of the deceased lingering due to disrespect or desecration of their resting places. This theory aligns with numerous accounts of voices speaking in unfamiliar dialects, whispers that some claim resemble indigenous chants echoing through the trees. Another popular hypothesis is that the park is a hotbed for residual hauntings, repetitive manifestations of past events imprinted onto the environment. According to this theory, the land retains emotional imprints from moments of extreme distress, pain, or violence, replaying them like a phantom recording. Those who visit the park may unknowingly tap into these echoes, experiencing fragments of history that unfold without direct interaction. This would explain why some visitors report witnessing the same apparitions or hearing the same voices repeatedly, as if stuck in a loop of past suffering. A more controversial theory suggests that the park may serve as a portal or nexus for interdimensional activity. Some paranormal investigators have noted unusual fluctuations in magnetic fields and temperature anomalies that defy conventional scientific explanation. Proponents of this theory argue that the park may be located on a ley line, an invisible channel of energy believed by some to connect powerful spiritual sites across the world. If this is true, the disturbances reported in the park could be the result of beings from another dimension attempting to breach into ours, creating the eerie sensations and ghostly figures described by witnesses. Regardless of which theory holds the most weight, one thing remains clear: Phoenix's most haunted park continues to defy logic, drawing in those who seek answers and leaving them with more questions than they arrived with. Into the depths, investigating the park's most terrifying corners. Determined to uncover the truth behind Phoenix's most haunted park, several paranormal investigation teams have ventured into its depths, armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an unwavering resolve to document whatever might be lurking in the shadows. Among the most notable expeditions was that of the Arizona Paranormal Research Society, APRS, a group of dedicated investigators who spent 3 consecutive nights in the park, setting up cameras, EMF detectors, infrared sensors, and audio recorders in key locations. Their findings, released in a detailed report, provided compelling evidence that reignited interest in the park's haunting reputation. One of the most chilling discoveries made by APRS was captured on a thermal imaging camera positioned near the Old Oak Grove. At approximately 2:37 a.m., the footage showed a humanoid-shaped anomaly emerging from the tree line, moving slowly toward the center of the clearing before abruptly vanishing. What made this sighting particularly unsettling was that no visible figure appeared on the standard video feed. The entity was only detectable through thermal imaging, suggesting it either lacked a physical form or existed in a state beyond normal perception. The investigators, visibly shaken, attempted to communicate using a digital voice recorder, asking, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Moments later, one of their handheld EMF meters spiked into the red zone, registering an unusually high reading. Simultaneously, the audio recorder picked up a distorted whisper stating, "They took me. I can't leave." In addition to visual and auditory anomalies, the team documented multiple instances of unexplained cold spots throughout the park. Using thermometers and thermal cameras, they recorded drastic temperature drops in specific areas, sometimes plummeting by as much as 20 degrees within seconds. These cold zones were concentrated near the eastern section of the park, where local legends speak of a hidden cave system that was supposedly sealed off decades ago. Some speculate that this underground network may be linked to the disappearances reported over the years, serving as a labyrinthine prison for those who ventured too far. Another harrowing encounter was experienced by a solo investigator who set up camp near the remnants of an old stone bench believed to be part of Thomas Whitmore's original ranch. He described waking in the middle of the night to the sound of rhythmic tapping against the wooden frame of his tent. Upon stepping outside with a flashlight, he found no sign of the noise's origin, only a faint trail of footprints leading into the dense underbrush. Assuming it was an animal, he returned to his tent, only to hear a soft voice whispering his name from just beyond the fabric walls. Petrified, he remained frozen in place until dawn, when he hastily packed his gear and left the park, vowing never to return. Despite the skepticism surrounding paranormal investigations, the sheer volume of consistent reports and recorded anomalies makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something unnatural lingers within Phoenix's most haunted park. Whether these experiences stem from residual energies, interdimensional phenomena, or something far more sinister remains uncertain. But for those who have witnessed the inexplicable firsthand, the question is no longer whether the park is haunted, it's what exactly is waiting in the darkness, watching and waiting. The psychological effects of visiting Phoenix's most haunted park extend far beyond the immediate sensations of fear and unease. For many who have explored its depths, the experience leaves lasting impressions that manifest in anxiety, sleep disturbances, and even paranoia long after they've left the park's boundaries. Psychologists and paranormal researchers alike have studied the impact of such environments on the human mind, seeking to understand why certain locations evoke such profound emotional responses. Some attribute these reactions to the power of suggestion. If a person enters a place expecting to encounter something supernatural, their brain becomes hyper-aware of every creak, whisper, or flicker of movement, interpreting them as signs of an unseen presence. Others propose that the park's eerie atmosphere triggers primal instincts, activating the fight-or-flight response as the subconscious perceives an unknown threat lurking in the shadows. Some claim they have developed insomnia, plagued by nightmares that mirror their experiences in the park, visions of shadowy figures watching from the tree-line, disembodied voices whispering their names, and the sensation of an unseen force pulling them deeper into the woods. Others have spoken of an inexplicable compulsion to return, as if drawn by something beyond their control, despite knowing the risks involved. One particularly unsettling case involved a group of college students who ventured into the park for a late-night challenge. They claimed to have heard a child's laughter echoing through the trees, only to turn and find no one nearby. Days later, one of the students began experiencing hallucinations. He reported seeing a small figure darting through his peripheral vision, vanishing the moment he turned to look. His mental health deteriorated rapidly, leading to hospitalization and months of therapy. While doctors attributed his condition to heightened stress and sensory deprivation, he remained convinced that something had followed him home. The cultural significance of the park, folklore, media, and urban legend beyond its reputation as a hotspot for paranormal activity, Phoenix's most haunted park has taken on a life of its own within local folklore, media coverage, and urban legend. Over the years, the park has become a symbol of fear and mystery, inspiring countless horror stories, documentaries, and even fictionalized accounts in literature and film. Its presence in pop culture has only fueled the intrigue surrounding it, drawing both skeptics and believers who hope to uncover the truth behind the myths. Local news outlets have covered the park extensively, often highlighting unsolved disappearances, strange occurrences, and eyewitness testimonies that add to its enigmatic allure. In the 1990s, a local television station aired a documentary titled Shadows in the Desert, which featured interviews with former residents, paranormal investigators, and even law enforcement officers who had responded to calls regarding suspicious activity in the park. The documentary included grainy footage allegedly showing shadowy figures moving between the trees, as well as audio recordings of eerie whispers that sent chills down the spines of viewers. Though skeptics dismissed the content as poorly edited hoaxes, the documentary sparked renewed interest in the park, prompting a surge of nighttime visits from thrill-seekers eager to test the legends for themselves. Literature has also played a significant role in cementing the park's status as a cultural phenomenon. Several horror novels have drawn inspiration from its eerie reputation, weaving fictional narratives around real-life events and reported hauntings. One particularly popular book, Whispers Beneath the Pines, blends documented paranormal investigations with creative storytelling, portraying the park as a gateway to another realm where lost souls are trapped in an endless cycle of torment. The novel's success led to a limited-run podcast series that reenacted the events described in the book, blending real interview clips with dramatized retellings that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The internet has further amplified the park's mystique, with forums, YouTube videos, and social media pages dedicated to sharing personal experiences and investigating its haunted reputation. Urban explorers frequently upload footage of their nighttime excursions, capturing everything from strange lights flickering in the distance to unexplained sounds that defy logical explanation. Some of these videos have gone viral, attracting millions of views and sparking debates about whether the park truly harbors something supernatural, or if the collective belief in its haunting has created a self-perpetuating cycle of fear. Despite the commercialization of its legend, the park remains a deeply unsettling place for those who visit. Whether it is the power of suggestion, the influence of local folklore, or something far more inexplicable, one thing is certain: Phoenix's most haunted park continues to capture the imagination of those who dare to explore its shadowy depths. Facing the unknown, personal stories from those who survived the park. For those who have experienced the horrors of Phoenix's most haunted park firsthand, the memories remain vivid, unsettling, and impossible to forget. Countless individuals have come forward over the years, recounting their encounters with the unknown, some hesitant to speak, fearing ridicule, while others share their stories in hopes of finding validation or understanding. These personal accounts paint a chilling picture of a place where reality bends, time distorts, and the veil between the living and the dead feels perilously thin. One such account comes from Sarah Mitchell, a nurse who visited the park with a group of friends in the summer of 2018. She described how the evening started innocently enough, with laughter and casual conversation as they wandered along the well-lit trails. However, as they ventured deeper into the park, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. "It felt like the air got heavier," she recalled. "We couldn't explain it, but we all stopped talking at the same time, like we were afraid to make a sound." As they reached a secluded clearing surrounded by towering pine trees, Sarah noticed something odd. Her phone, which had been fully charged, suddenly died, along with her friend's flashlight. "That's when we saw it," she whispered. "A figure standing at the edge of the clearing. It wasn't moving, just staring at us." The group stood frozen, paralyzed by fear, as they tried to determine whether the figure was real or merely a trick of the dim lighting. "It looked human, but wrong," Sarah explained. "Its arms were too long, and its head was tilted at an unnatural angle." Before anyone could react, the figure vanished into the trees as quickly as it had appeared. Shaken, the group hurried back toward the main path, only to realize they had somehow ended up in a completely different part of the park, one they hadn't passed through on their way in. "We didn't know how we got there," she admitted. "It was like the park itself moved around us." Another harrowing experience was shared by Mark Alvarez, a security guard who worked the overnight shift patrolling the park's perimeter in the early 2000s. He described his usual routine as uneventful: filled with the usual sounds of the desert night, until one particularly quiet evening when he heard a child laughing in the distance. "At first, I thought maybe some kid snuck in after hours," he said. "But the laugh kept going, getting louder and louder, like it was right behind me." He turned around, expecting to see a teenager hiding behind a tree, but instead found himself staring into complete darkness. "There was no one there," he said, his voice trembling. And then the laughing stopped. From that point on, Mark claimed the park became increasingly unnerving. He reported seeing shadowy figures moving just beyond the edges of his flashlight beam, only to disappear when he tried to approach. On one occasion, he swore he saw a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothing standing near the entrance gate, watching him silently. When he blinked, she was gone. Eventually, the constant sense of being watched and the creeping dread that settled over him every night forced him to quit his job. "I don't care what people say," he insisted. "Something isn't right in that park." These stories, while differing in details, share a common thread. Each individual entered the park expecting a simple outing or routine work assignment, only to leave shaken by something they could neither explain nor escape. Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental anomalies, or something far more sinister, the impact on those who live them remains undeniable. For those who have faced the unknown within Phoenix's most haunted park, the memory lingers, a haunting reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. As we bring this chilling journey to a close, one thing remains abundantly clear. Phoenix's most haunted park is more than just a place of eerie encounters and whispered legends. It is a place where history, mystery, and the unknown intertwine, leaving an indelible mark on all who dare to explore its depths. From the unsettling reports of shadowy figures lurking in the trees to the inexplicable voices that seem to call out from the darkness, the park continues to defy explanation, drawing in those who seek answers and leaving them with more questions than they arrived with. Whether you believe in the supernatural or prefer to attribute these experiences to psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or even urban myth, the sheer number of consistent reports from credible witnesses makes it difficult to dismiss the park's haunted reputation outright. The personal accounts of those who have faced the unknown within its boundaries are too numerous and too similar to be ignored. Something lingers in the shadows of Phoenix's most haunted park, whether it be the restless spirits of the past, residual imprints of trauma, or something far beyond our understanding remains a mystery. If you've enjoyed this exploration of one of Arizona's most terrifying locations, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-chilling story. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or simply fascinated by the power of fear and folklore, there's always more to uncover in the world of the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes the scariest places are the ones that exist just beyond the reach of the light.